the one, the only, Peter Farrelly!
It's a life-changing moment when you're working with Bernatilla.
You have to be studying as an actor like you were studying to be an Olympic swimmer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a real pleasure to have this gentleman here. He's not only an actor, he's also a producer and a writer. We're going to learn a lot about him. He comes, well, I originally met him when the movie Green Book came out, which is based on his father's life story. Let's hear for that. He has an incredible story, and I am honored to be here to sit next to Mr. Nick VALLELONGA! Nick, it's a pleasure to have you here. You're like the trifecta. We've had Peter Farrelly here. We had Brian Curry here, also from Green Book, and now you.
Wow.
Nick has won 2 Academy Awards for Green Book. He's won 2 Golden Globes for Green Book as well. So, one of the things that also happens as an actor, he was in the original Godfather. He was in Prizzi's Honor. He was in so many of the mob movies. He's going to be in the new Soprano movie. Yep. Which is when, yes, so it's unbelievable. And he's also playing a part in Green Book as an actor, too. You were very good in that.
Yes, I was in Green Book.
Yes, in Green Book, it was good. And what were the other movies you were telling me just now?
Goodfellas, I did something.
Goodfellas, he was in Goodfellas, my God. Yeah. Let's hear for Goodfellas.
I don't know why they're all Italian mob things.
I don't know why, because I always think of you as like a rabbi, a Jewish rabbi.
Yes,
don't you think?
Yes, that's next. My next career.
Next career. No, he has an incredible story. Also, his father was also a great actor. He played Carmine in The Sopranos. So we have so many things to discuss. I'm so excited. I've been trying to get him here for a long time. So Nick, tell us how it all began, how it all started.
Well, that's a big question.
Yes, I know, but we want to hear.
Well, the basic story is, as a kid, I just loved movies, and I was always writing and making little films, and it was just something I was attracted to. And my father, if you saw Green Book, he used to work at the Copacabana nightclub in New York.
Wow, incredible.
Eventually started running it after he wasn't just beating guys up and throwing them out. And when they were doing The Godfather, they went into the Copacabana to meet like real guys, so my father was the liaison to have them meet real guys, and they saw my father and they're like, you got to be in this movie. Are you an actor? Of course, my father said, yeah, I'm an actor. But anyway, he got cast in The Godfather. So then they said, we're doing this huge wedding scene. Do you have any kids? Or, we need kids. We need Italian extras. And so my brother and I actually screen tested, and we're like the little kids in the wedding scene of The Godfather. So
wow.
That was like my first, when I saw that movie being made.
Oh my God.
It got me. Like I was so crazy, wherever the camera was, I was going, to try to get in the shots. I was like 10 or something. And like the third day, one of the ADs grabbed me, and I thought I was in trouble. He goes, come with me. And he brings me over to Francis Ford Coppola. And he goes, this is the kid. I'm like, okay, man, what do I do?
That's it, you're out.
And he says, listen, you may not understand this, but every day we watch what we filmed the day before. He goes, I see you more than I see anybody in this movie. So I kept going with it. He goes, and I can't have you over there and then over there at the same time. He said, so today I'm going to keep you where I can keep my eye on you. And they got me a director's chair and they put me next to Coppola for that entire day. So I was done. After that was it.
So you're sitting with Francis Ford Coppola making The Godfather.
Yes.
From all the people and all sort of the extras, they decided to pick you.
Yes. So all those wedding scenes that you see at the beginning, that took about a week and a half to film.
Where did they film that?
That scene was at a house in Staten Island. And I remember the first time I saw, if you remember that movie that was all walled in, all of a sudden I needed to do something with the camera, and they just took a chunk of the wall out, and the wall was just plastic and wood. I was like, what? This thing's not fake? It felt real, everything. So the movie-making process I got to see firsthand on The Godfather, so that's what really got me, and that's I always wanted to do it from that point.
Wow.
But then my father went on to do all kinds of movies in the 70s and 80s, and usually a mob guy. He was either a cop or a mob guy, mostly a mob guy. Until he got older, and he was, if you're a Sopranos fan, he played Carmine Lupatazzi, the New York Don on the Sopranos. So, and now, luckily, I got into the new Sopranos film, which is a prequel movie. So kind of come full circle.
Oh my God, isn't that something? Your father, you're playing almost like the younger version.
Well, they were talking about doing that, but only I'm not young enough to play the younger version. So, but I'm a different character, but the whole film is a prequel. It's about Tony Soprano when he was a little kid and his father and like that. I'm not allowed to say so much.
But who's playing the can you say who plays the main guy? Tony Soprano?
Tony Soprano is actually, I can't really say much, but his son, James Gandolfini's son, plays him younger in the show. Beautiful. That's been announced, so I can say that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to give
And it's really about Christopher Moltisanti, Michael Imperioli's character's father.
I see.
Alessandro Nivolo plays that. And John Bernthal plays Tony Soprano's father.
He was actually...
Great cast.
Great cast. He was going to actually come to our last master class, but you were something called filming? Is that what you were?
I was filming that.
That's something called filming Sopranos,
yes.
and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I had scheduled the time, but then it came up that, you know.
No. What, as we say in Italian, you're a real mensch. Really something special. I want to ask you a little bit about, were you hooked first on acting, and did you start studying? What did that go?
You know, I don't know how many people you have. It's just for whatever reason, that's what I always was attracted to: films, filmmaking, telling stories. Really, I was always like, when I saw a good movie or something, I was, how do they tell that story and make you feel that way? I think the first movie my mother took me to see Mary Poppins when I was 5. I made her take me 5 days in a row to see the movie. So I just loved movies, making movies, telling stories, hearing an audience laugh or cry and go, wow, you know, how do you do that type of thing? So I was always writing little stories and books and
so you were writing,
making little films. Back then it was 8mm cameras and cutting them with a scissor and taping them together. And it just was always doing it. It took me a long time to get Green Book made, so it shows.
No, we're going to get to the Green Book story. But what I wanted to ask you, what influence did your father have in terms of you becoming an actor? What did he talk about? Well,
I mean, again, because of me just loving it so much and then getting that experience, I wasn't really a child actor. I did that Godfather thing, and then I acted in like plays and stuff, and then when I got in college, I did a lot of theater, and then I studied in New York. I did a lot of theater in New York, and my father, he didn't really care about anything. Like, he just had enjoyed whatever he was doing. So he never pursued the acting. People would just call him up. Like if he had to audition, he would just go, no, I'm not auditioning. I got to learn this stuff. No, I'm not doing that. So even The Sopranos, they asked him like 3 times to do The Sopranos. That was right after my mom passed away, and he's like, yeah, your mom can't see it. I don't know why I care. He goes, Sopranos. He goes, I'm not even a singer. Why would I want to do The Sopranos? And I go, no, Dad, it's this big show. It has nothing to do. So finally, we talked him into going and meeting David Chase, and then they gave him that role. But as far as I go, I was just studying and doing all kinds of stuff, and then I did they did a Broadway sort of touring company of Grease at colleges. I was like 21 or 22, and I got the John Travolta part. I was a lot thinner and had a lot more hair then. And because I was an usher in a movie theater, and I saw Grease about 1,000 times in the movie, so when I went to audition for that, I knew every move and everything. I just like did Travolta. And then I thought, wow, I got this part. This is pretty cool. I'm doing Grease. I'm the lead in Grease. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They want to see John Travolta. They don't want to see me. And then I was scared. What do I do? So I just did enough of Travolta to make them happy and tried to make it my own. But I was always doing theater, lots and lots of theater in New York and studying, all the time studying.
What did theater and acting do for you, do for your soul, do you think? What did it do for you? Well,
who knows why, again, you're drawn to this stuff. It's just what I liked. But I think for me, because I liked everything, I liked the writing part of it. I liked directing, making films. And then eventually when I came out here, I said, oh, there's not enough auditions. I'll just make my own movies. But I think being the base of it, being an actor, helped me direct actors. I think helped me write dialogue that I think actors would want to say. So it really, the acting base, if you're looking to do other things, whether you're just acting or you want to do other things, I think that's the strength. Because, I've worked with guys that can't direct actors, don't understand actors, don't know how to work with actors. I mean, I think I have that because I come from an actor myself. So
Yes.
I know when to direct an actor, I know when to let the actor bring what they bring. At least that's what I try to do. So having that base has helped all of it. It's helped the writing, the producing, and the directing parts of it.
We have an incredible actors. I want to tell you, we have over 40 actors who've come here from 21 countries.
Wow.
Let's hear it for you guys.
Yeah.
I love being around creative people, artistic people, and people who are pursuing a dream or going after something. I want to ask you, what 3 pieces of advice would you give actors here who have come to LA? What are 3 things that you think an actor should know that some of them just don't know? What are 3 things you would say to somebody if you met them?
Well, since I'm an actor, I don't know either.
No. But you've been doing pretty well.
Listen, everyone has their own journey. I think it's not easy. So know that it's not easy. Know that you got to be at the top of your game all the time. So you got to be studying all the time. You should be working out all the time, be in the best shape you could possibly be in, because it's mental, it's physical, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're doing something with an iPhone, with friends, just keep working, doing classes, doing scenes. I tell people, because I've been on both sides of the camera where I'm auditioning people, I never thought of, I would think of it this way if I were you. When you get an audition, don't think of it as an audition. You have that part for that 5 minutes. It's your part. When you're auditioning, people want you to be good. They're looking for the good people. So if you're in the best shape you could be, and that's physically and mentally, if you're trained, and you're doing your studying, I got to say, there's a lot of actors that are not. They're not ready. If I have a role, let's say for a lady like this, there's a lot of photos. So there's a lot. She's going to walk in, and she's going to see 20 people of her type in the room. 17 of them can't act. 17 of them are not prepared. Your competition is very small if you're really, really prepared. Then after that, all you can do is go in and do what you do and bring to it and walk out. Don't think I'm auditioning or I want to get the part. You have that part in front of those people, that 5 minutes. You are that role. Do it, and then you can walk away going, I did my best. Because maybe it's her, but maybe, I need someone with,
Blonde hair.
Blonde hair. Then it's not your fault, in a sense. And sometimes you give a bad audition. I've given bad auditions, I think. Be as prepared as you possibly can be. This way, when your time comes, you're ready. And people will know you're ready. And so just work. It's really the hardest thing. Keep working at it and always be ready to go. Physically, mentally, and spiritually. So if you went in and you did your best, you can walk out of there. If you get it, you don't get it. It's still a learning experience for you. It's another audition. It could be, oh, wow, she's not right for this. But I've had actors come in and audition for roles, and sometimes this is done too, where the studio, they're making offers to names, but they'll audition people anyway in case they don't get the name. And I don't like that, because I go, it's not fair to the actors, but it's kind of, you have to do it. So I may go, well, she was fantastic, but I can't give her that role because I need more of a name, but I'll give her something else. And I've done that. And I've actually called actors and actresses and like, listen, you didn't get that part, but I'd like you to be part of the film. Would you do this? And they always say yes, because you're part of a family. You get to work and you meet more people, and it opens doors up for everything else. So if anything, it's on, just be as prepared as you can be all the time. Like classes like this, well, there's only one class like this. But just keep taking them, You have to keep active and keep doing it. This way you're sharp and ready to go. And the more people you meet and know, you got to rehearse a scene. You have friends that'll do it with you, help you put it on tape. That's what you need. You need community-based support, but it's up to you to be prepared and ready to do it all the time. So just keep working at it. I mean, I've been banging around doing this forever. You know, I finally got a big one made with GREENBOOK, but I was still just doing the same thing. Keep writing, keep directing, keep making movies. Like GREENBOOK, at one point, I said, I'll make this with my iPhone and a couple of meatball sandwiches if I have to. I'm going to make the movie. And a couple of incarnations of it. I was going to make it with James Gandolfini at one point, right before he passed away, and then he passed away. Wow. And then it fell into this situation with Brian and Pete, and then we got it made on that level. But don't give up if you believe in it. Keep trying, keep working at it, and your time will come.
Let's hear from my God. Nick, you talk a lot about family and community. You obviously have a sort of family that you work with, people that you work with. What do you do when some of the difficult days? How do you inspire yourself when things are not going that well? How do you deal with it?
You know, the times I thought of never really quitting, because I'm not a quitter. But you know, listen, when I was writing GREENBOOK, I was working down the block at the 77 Lounge next to Rocco's Tavern. You know, I never worried about what other people think. In between movies, sometimes I don't have anything going. I'm working at a nightclub. I'm running a lounge or something. I did whatever I had to do to keep going, because if you don't, then it's easy to give up and feel sorry for yourself. Just keep working at it. And there were times I thought, well, I may never make it on the level I want to make it, but I've made some things. I'll just keep doing what I do.
You just keep going.
So just keep going. I mean, you know, if you may decide, no, it's time for me to sell insurance, or it's time for me to get married and have kids. That's a personal choice, but if you love it and you're still inspired by it, as long as you keep working and doing everything you can do, then, listen, a lot of it is luck too. I believe in that. Luck or fate, whatever you want to do. But if I gave up one day before I got GREENBOOK to somebody, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So I didn't give up, so that's why I'm here.
Since we talked about GREENBOOK, what was it like making GREENBOOK and telling your father's life story? I mean, how is that putting it out in front of the entire world?
Well, that was pretty insane, pretty crazy process. And like I said, I was going to do it myself, but then Brian Curry came to me, my friend, who's a writer also, said, let's do something together. What do you have? And I said, well, I've been meaning to do this thing, and I'm going to do it. And I told him the story, and he freaked out. And he knew my father, but I never told him the story.
But surely.
And he said, well, maybe I could bring this to someone. And I said, no, I'm going to do it. I may play my father. I don't know. Like I said, I may make it with an iPhone. I don't know. Then Brian, who's very close with Peter Farrelly, went and told Pete the story. And Pete flipped out. Brian came back to me and said, he goes, you're screwed. He goes, I told Pete. Now he wants to meet you. I said, I don't want to give it up. I've been waiting to do this my whole life. Everything I've directed was practiced for this movie. But I went and met with Pete, and I loved Pete. And because a lot of times after we got it made, the question was, why did you pick Pete? You know, he made all these crazy comedies. It's not even the type of film. But Pete's a writer. Pete wrote a couple great books. And meeting Pete, I just had a super connection with him. And he had the heart for it, the soul for it. And I don't put people in a box. That's another thing. I didn't say, well, he does comedy, so he can't do this. Quite honestly, it was the opposite. Comedies to me are harder than drama in a sense that to make people laugh is not easy. So
absolutely.
To me, Pete's just a great director, a great successful director. So I never thought of, oh, should I do Pete because he does that never entered my mind. My only doubt was, do I want to give it up? But then I thought, you know, I've been banging around a long time. I will not get it made on the level I think I can get it made with Pete. And I trusted him with this story that was so close to me. So right there in the room, I just made the decision. I just went, okay, let's do it. He goes, what do you mean? I go, you direct it. Let's write it together and let's produce it together. And I think I made a good decision. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, let's hear for GREENBOOK. Yeah.
But I also don't think Pete didn't get enough credit on that movie because I think it was absurd the movie's nominated for Best Picture and won Best Picture. He was not nominated for Best Director. I think that's insane. The movie does not direct itself. I mean, he was very free with me, obviously, because it's my family, my father. It came from me, so he involved me a lot. I was there with him every single day. But Pete directed the crap out of that movie. He killed that movie.
It's a brilliant movie.
And brought what he brought to it. Beautifully made film. And I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves, and I'm lucky that I had Pete.
Well, we were lucky to have him here. Yeah. He's one of the most beautiful human beings on the planet. Also, if you see Green Book, you see actually people who are actually your family, who are in the movie. Your cousins.
That was
like
part
people,
of it, too.
The family thing, the family scene, those are his family.
I foisted on Pete, but it all worked out. When Pete came up with Viggo, the idea of Viggo. Like I said, the last person I was thinking of was Gandolfini. He was gone. And so, but I was kind of insistent in how to be an Italian or a guy that was half Italian, because not that anyone can play nationalities, but a New York Italian is a certain type of guy. And if you don't do it right, it's like a bad Saturday Night Live skit. You don't want that. So we were looking at different people, and then Pete came up with Viggo, and he said, "What do you think about Viggo?" I go, "Well, Viggo's one of my favorite actors of all time." But at first it didn't hit me. But then I thought, well, the first thing I saw Viggo in was Carlito's Way. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Carlito's Way. You know, Viggo plays the Puerto Rican guy, the cripple in the wheelchair. When I saw that, I said, where'd they find this Puerto Rican guy? Off the streets of Harlem in New York? I mean, and then it turns out it's Viggo. So I also thought of who's the most iconic Italian character. If you're going to name one iconic, it's The Godfather. It's Marlon Brando.
Right.
Not Italian. So I go, Viggo's like our Marlon Brando. So that's when it hit me. I said, Pete, let's go for it. Let's try to get Viggo. And then Viggo loved it, but Viggo was almost not afraid to do it, but uncertain if he should do it. And he said, I got to meet Nick. I want to make sure I could do this justice. Now, we were all dying to have Viggo say yes. So I brought Viggo to my brother's restaurant, Tony Lips, in New Jersey. And I had all my family
still there?
Yeah, the restaurant's there in New Jersey now. And it was all my uncles and my brother and a couple cousins. And Viggo thought he was going to have a little lunch. We were at the table eating for like 8 hours. And
it's Italians.
By the time he got out of there, he was doing us. He was copying us, and he studied me and my brother, and then my uncles talking to him in Italian, because it was a different dialect, what my father and my uncles spoke. So I was saying to Viggo, my uncles should play their own fathers, because I had my father's brother, who was still alive, Rudy, who my brother ended up playing. Mm-hmm. I said, Frank will play my Uncle Rudy. Uncle Rudy will play his father. I got my Uncle Louie, my mother's brother, play the other grandfather. Viggo's like, this is great. So he told me, I hadn't really told Pete any of this yet. So he called Pete up and said, the thing went great. It's unbelievable. He goes, you're genius. The idea of casting all these real family members. And Pete's like, what are you talking about? What family members? So the next thing my phone rang is Pete. But then Pete met all of them, and he's like, this is perfect, because it made it real. It made it, so basically my father's brother, Rudy, played their father. My brother, Frank, played my Uncle Rudy. Then I had my Uncle Louie play his father, Linda Cardellini, my mother's father. So we had them there, and then there was Linda Cardellini there and a couple of Italians that we cast, and so it was like a big Italian family.
Oh my God. And you could tell that it was real.
I think it made those scenes more realistic. Yes.
I got the feeling that they weren't quite actors, but they were real.
Well, the thing about my brother is a natural. He was a car salesman, so to him the acting was nothing to him. And my two uncles, I said to Pete, he goes, but they never acted. What? So I go, I actually put them on tape for Pete, but I said, they're going to speak in Italian. It just sounds good, no matter, because there's another language. It just sounds right. Just have them yelling in Italian. No, they're going to be fantastic. So that's what they did. But it was crazy when we did the first scene around the table. There was lots of food out there, and take one. Pete's like, all right, ready to go again. He looked down. There was no food left on the table at all. And he's like, wait a second. He goes, we can't eat all the food, and we have continuity. So my brother's like, hey, it's not our problem. Put the food out. We're going to eat it. My uncles are like eating. It was nuts. But I think it made it
Such
authentic.
a beautiful, beautiful film. Tell us a little bit about the Academy Award experience and that they finally call your name. Tell us about that.
Well, that was crazy. I mean, we had, when we won the Toronto Film Festival, we came out of nowhere. I mean, there was, at that time was Roma. It was First Man. At that time was being touted as a huge, huge movie. Roma, Star is Born.
Star is Born, great.
Yeah, all great films. And but in Toronto, no one even mentioned us, and we won that. So then we started getting on everyone's radar, and started winning a lot of awards. So the Golden Globes, we won that. Again, unexpected. No one expected it. And there was a lot of controversy about Green Book. I don't know if we get into it now, but stuff about me. I made it up. I'm a racist. I don't, crazy stuff that's just untrue and wrong. But they were putting stuff out about Viggo, about Pete, trying, I think, to knock the movie down for some reason. I don't know why. The movie was made with love, with a great message.
Oh, it's a beautiful message.
Don Shirley, was why isn't there more about him? It's because he didn't want that. He wanted me only to tell the part of his life that he was with my father. And he was very specific about what I could put in and what I couldn't put in. So I was getting all this bad press about it. It's not enough about him. Why isn't it about him? Why is it about his father? Well, it's about my father because he's the one who told me the stories.
Right. That's driving the movie.
But Don Shirley also told me the stories because my father said we can't make it until you get his permission and his side of the story. So I had done all that research, but that was 30 years ago. It happened in 1962. I started talking to my father and Don Shirley about it in 1989. Now it's 2015. I didn't know that I was going to be under subpoena to my notes and what did I do and who did I talk to. It's 60 years in the making of this thing, in a sense, if you look at it that way almost. So I wasn't prepared for all of that type of stuff. But whatever. And we went to the Academy Awards, and it was, you're there. Of course, you want to win, but I kind of didn't really think, I just wasn't thinking about it. It wasn't like if you think how it's going to be when you're at the Academy Awards, at least for me it wasn't, because there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of controversy, everyone was attacking us, Spike Lee was screaming at me, across the aisle. He was upset, and I talked to him afterwards, and I said, Spike, I think you're awesome, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? You should have won 10 of these already, but that's not my fault. I just tried to make a little movie about my dad. But we talked afterwards. But before that, listen, in an odd way, it was crazy. It was a frenzy. Roma, Spike Lee stuff, Black Klansman, Black Panther, all great movies. And it's like, well, why are we being attacked? I tried to make really just a small film originally about my dad and a relationship, about two human beings coming together and showing, I wasn't thinking when I was writing it, I'm going to cure racism with this script. I just was trying to show two human beings can speak to each other and we're all the same. That's all I was trying to do. And Brian was on board with that, Curry, and Pete Farrelly. To him, the movie's about hope. It was showing things that happened in the 60s. And we were getting attacked. Well, that it shouldn't be like that. It's taking racism too lightly. No, but it's telling what happened back then, trying to educate some people, even the Green Book part of it.
I never knew about Green Book.
No one knew about the Green Book. And then I was getting attacked. Why isn't it more about the Green Book? Why isn't it about, now you know what the Green Book is. Yeah.
Look it up.
And that would be a great movie about the Green Book, because that Victor Green was African-American postal worker he started the Green Book. That's a great story too. But guess what? No one ever made that because not too many people know about it. So we fought for that title, Green Book, and Green Book, as you see, was part of the film. But now people are educated about it and can learn more about it, and maybe there will be maybe I'll make a Green Book movie, although I'll get attacked for that. So, but the point is the Green Book aspect, And reverse driving Miss Daisy, they said, oh, well, I had this before I ever heard of driving Miss Daisy. I wasn't making a reverse driving. I was just making my father's story. I never thought of it that way. And I think Mahershala did a beautiful, beautiful portrayal of a genius man. And I said it many times, I think the first time a genius was playing a genius.
And he won the Academy Award.
He won the Academy Award. And we tried, we had Mahershala, we had Octavia Spencer all over the script and the performances and making sure that everything was cool with them as far as what was being portrayed. So we did it with love and care, but yet you still get attacked. So it hurt me then. Now I've got a different viewpoint on it because you can only do what you can do. I know I did it with honor and respect. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, or if I missed something in that script, you can't please everybody. So, but I knew audiences, how they were responding to it, of all races and creeds. It's just about people. To me, actually, I don't believe in races, quite honestly. I just think we're all human beings. So I don't break people down to race. I think everyone's a human being. So we're all the same. So ultimately, we have the same wants and needs. If we have differences of religions or differences of opinions, difference of politics, so what?
But we all want the same thing. We always want the same thing.
Yes. Everyone wants the same
You guys like Green Book?
So hopefully that's the message that came out with that movie. And screw them. We won.
You know what? I don't want to leave Green Book just yet. I heard that when you first saw Viggo playing the character, that it reminded you of your dad. Is that true?
Oh, well, he was exactly my dad. I mean, if you want to know my father when he was young, that he became my father. Now, luckily, because of what I was saying earlier, there's a lot of tape and film of my father because he was in a lot of movies and in The Sopranos itself. So Viggo told me he used to play The Sopranos on a loop. So he got my father's voice, his inflections, how he said words, his hand mannerisms. My father smoked a cigarette a certain way. All of it. So it was very eerie and weird and emotional, on the set, even hearing his voice. And then I'm watching my own family. I was there in those moments, and they recreated my apartment. So it was crazy. The Copacabana, I told them how my father did everything there. It was eerie, surreal, magical, nerve-wracking, but it was special. And like I said, Pete, he elevated everything, I think, with his direction.
Oh, my God. Tell us a little bit about Don.
And Linda Cardellini is my mother. She looked exactly like my mother. She spoke like my mother. And when I met with Linda the first time, she was taking notes. I was giving her character stuff. I gave Linda my mother's rosary, her wedding rings. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, wow, I can't believe I got choked up like this.
No, it's okay.
I gave her all my mother's stuff. So she goes, when's her birthday? I like to, what sign she was. So I said, her birthday was June 25th. She goes, come on, when's her birthday? And I said, June 25th. She goes, that's my birthday.
Oh my God.
Obviously very emotional for me. And the same thing with Viggo. We gave Viggo my father's medal that he wore the whole time. For me, it was crazy emotional. Wow, I can't believe I did that. But
no. It
was very special.
You have a beautiful heart, and you're sharing with us. And we'd like to also thank your mother, because your mother's here watching you, and she's very proud of you. Thanks. Let's hear from Mr. Nick. You got everything standing.
Can we just talk about mob stuff? Do we have to talk about this movie?
Let's hear it.
No. Don't, please. Thanks.
I love you.
Thanks.
Oh, my God. Okay.
All right.
That was it. Now, since you have made Green Book and all that, how has things changed for you? How did are things different? Because I know that you're making a few films right now and you're writing some things. What's happened to you?
I'm close on a few bigger things again, but I got to say, it's almost like in an odd way, I mean, for me anyway, it's the same thing. I just, I'm just back to the drawing board, getting the next things going.
Right.
Opened up more doors for me. But still, didn't make anything this year, but it was kind of because I was writing more this year. But I had some older things, and I was close on a few things with a couple big people. But it's like things still fall apart.
Right.
So now I'm close on a couple TV series, a couple movies. So we'll see. It's almost like I raised the bar so high. I'm like, oh crap! Now I have to make something good again. I guess.
More Green Book,
Blue
Book.
Yeah,
You're going to make the Blue Book about cars.
But I'm still acting and kind of just doing the same thing that I did. It's almost a blur. I can't believe it was just a year this week.
A year ago.
The Academy Awards. It went like that, so it's almost like it almost didn't happen in an odd way. I just go about my life as if it didn't happen in a way. Uh-huh. But it has opened up more doors. I mean, if you win a couple of Academy Awards, it should open a couple.
Yeah. Well, obviously things have changed that way.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best piece of advice anyone ever gave you?
Oh, wow. Probably my father saying, don't give a shit about what anybody thinks. Just believe in yourself and do what you got to do. He said, don't listen to anybody. Just do what you have to do. Don't let anyone else knock you down. And also, don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Like, I was never a guy to go, I'm jealous of this. Jealousy is meaningless. Do what you have to do for yourself. Your journey is your journey. You could admire other people, but to say, I should be doing that, or if a friend of yours gets the success before you do, just applaud them. I mean, it's, worry about yourself. As long as you do the right thing, treat people well, I think that's the best advice. And again, sometimes failures, you think you're failing, or there's reasons why you didn't get it. Like maybe if I got this when I came out here, I was 28 or 29. Maybe I'd be floating face down in a swimming pool somewhere. Who knows? I'm not that type of person, but my point is things happen when they're supposed to happen.
Absolutely. Some of you should be very lucky that you haven't had a great opportunity yet, because then everybody would have seen that you're not quite brilliant yet, and that's how you'll be remembered forever.
Listen, some people it happens at a very young age. Some people it happens later. For me, it's later in life. But, I mean, then I think back, like, I thought, this wasn't good enough. I never had enough money to do it. I was doing low-budget movies. But maybe that's what prepared me for when I did this. I can't go back. There's things I regret doing. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. But then you can't live in your past. You got to just move forward. Try. Work as hard as you can. Try to surround yourself with the best people you can. And again, if people in your group start succeeding, that's a good sign. It means you're with the right people, and they're with you too. So everyone has their own time, to do it. So just keep working hard at it. Again, come back to that. Just keep working. You got to keep working. Even the writing, they say, what about writing? What do you do about writer's block? I go, I write. Because that's the only way to get out of writer's block. Oh, this is crap. So I just wrote 10 pages of crap. But wait, on page 3, that section was good. So I got one thing out of it. I mean, so you never know. So any work could lead to something. You meet somebody, you do an audition, you do somebody, can you help me do a little scene? We're doing a little mini movie. Don't think anything is beneath you. Just do it, because you never know. The guy that directed the little movie on the iPhone could call you a year later and say, I've got this part in this film. You don't know. So just as long as you keep your own morals, you keep your own standards, and you do what you do, it's going to come back. It'll work out at some point.
You seem to have a lot of faith. That seems to be something that you're very strong with.
Yes.
About belief that it's going to happen. Something's going to happen at the right time.
I mean, you can't have false hope either. I mean, like I think as long as you keep realistic in your goals, I never thought of winning an Academy Award. I mean, everyone, when you're a kid, you watch on TV. Maybe the night of the Academy Awards, everyone watches the Academy Awards and go, what would it be like to be up there and win? But other than that, it's just about working. It's just about trying to do something good. And even when I was trying to do something good, I did a lot of crap too. And I go, well, this is what, I did this time. But I gave people work. I met people. A lot of it is about the experience, too, the life experience and the people you meet along the way. So I just always, I could go make pizzas, but eventually I'd I'd smash someone in the pizza box over someone's head. So, but I never, like I said, if I had to go work in a bar or a restaurant, then I'm working in a bar or a restaurant. Like there were times I had done movies and I'd run into someone and they'd go, "What do you mean, you working here?" I go, "Well, you're not paying my rent." Yeah, I'm working here. I'm working here because I'm continuing to try to do what I love. So if you're working, don't listen to anyone. Just do what you got to do to get there. And don't worry about what anybody else thinks.
It seems that your theme is don't worry about it, what anybody else thinks. No, but it really is, you're really a one-man band that you're like going forward. And you're getting people to help you to achieve what you want to do. What are some of the things that's coming up for you in the future? What are some of the things you want to, is there something that's inside you that you want to talk about? What are some of the things what's coming up for you?
I like different genres of film and television. I always get asked to do mob stuff, which I can kind of do that stuff in my sleep, I guess, if I have to. But I do like some of that stuff. But I have like a Christian novel that I adapted into a screenplay. I have this big romantic comedy, Italian-American musical that very close to doing that. I've got a couple people very interested in that. Those are the two big ones right now. And I have a series I may do with Mark Canton. Again, based on a book, Hollywood Godfather. It's about the guy Johnny Russo who played Carlo in The Godfather. It's about his life story.
Wow!
So we might be doing that. I might be doing for Italian television the Lucky Luciano story miniseries.
Wow!
Again, they keep pulling me back in with the mob stuff. So it all depends on how things fall.
Let me ask you something. You have actors coming in to audition for you. What are some of the things you're looking for when actors come in? What are you looking for?
Well, again, if it's for specific roles and there's a certain look I want, or even if I'm open to different looks, I look for someone who's prepared and comes in ready, and gets it. Like I used to, me personally, I would never have sides. And everyone says, "Oh, that's a mistake." And I even have casting directors say, "Well, have the sides in your hand." I don't do that, because of me, I'm performing it. I'm on the stage doing it right then, like I had said earlier. So if I was doing a play, would I have the pages in my hands? No. That's how I prepare for auditions, as if I'm performing it. So I got to give it my best. I'm not performing it by looking at the pages. So that was my little thing. Now, maybe you don't have to take it that far, because sometimes it's a good safety net in case you need to glance down. But I just do it and prepare it. Now, sometimes we all know you get a call that morning, could you be there at 1 o'clock? So everything changes. But if you have a little time, my advice is go up there, perform it, play the role, and then you walk out, you did your best,
Well, you know what? You're such an inspiration about someone who has tenacity to just keep moving and just keep going. Even you're sort of the same human being that you were before the Academy Awards. I mean, it seems like nothing's changed. Nothing's changed for you. You just keep, more doors are open, but you're still going after. You still want to tell that story. You're waiting for the next project. And now you're still as excited about being in the business as you were when you first started. What do you think? No.
Yeah, I mean, you still want to do more stuff. Like I said, I set the bar so high with GREENBOOK. Now it's like I have to do something great again. Who knows if you ever reach that potential? It all came together at the right time with a certain team. But there's some stories I still want to tell, and we'll see if I get a chance to tell them how I do. But whatever happens, I somehow, luck, divine intervention, I got to that place. I won some gold statues. And
where are your
if
gold
I
statues?
do make pizza from this point, then they'll be in my pizzeria, the gold statues. So,
you've worked with a lot of successful actors. What did you learn working with them? Is there some sort of piece of advice that you can tell us about? What did you learn working with some of the well-known actors that you've worked with?
Well, luckily over the years, because I was in so many big things with some big directors, and when I used to do even extra work, I did tons of extra work in my day. And when guys would go back to the bus or the holding area and go to sleep, I would just ask if can I stay here and watch, and always watch the actors. I watched the directors too, because I was interested in that as well. But I'd say what I said about the auditions: be prepared. The guys that come in and just kill it, they're so prepared, and they know what they do. I mean, you see Mahershala Ali and Viggo. That was an acting school unto itself.
Right.
Linda Cardellini, amazing. I mean, everyone in that particular film was tremendous. But I'd say the preparedness, the research, the background, of the character, getting all of that, discussing with your director. I mean, when I've directed, and I've directed only little indie films, but because I come from theater, I very much believe in rehearsal. I rehearse it. If you can rehearse, you should rehearse. I rehearsed it like it's a play, because that's when I can work out everything with the actors. So if the actor, I get two sides of these things. I know Tarantino, you can't change the line of his dialogue. And I did a script once, and the actors going, we're not changing one word of this, not a comma. Part of it as a director, and when you have a vision, and even as the writer-director, you need the actor to bring out what you write. But then there's other times, because I'm an actor, I know, well, sometimes the actor brings something I didn't think of. So that's where I think rehearsals are important if you can do them, because the actor may come up with something and you go, oh, wait a minute, let's use that. Or you start hearing your own words and you go, oh man, that's bad. So what can we do to fix it? And you have your actors to help you with that. So even with our script, which was pretty much exactly, we wrote it.
Where did you come up with I love that scene between Viggo and Mahershala when they're on the park bench and they're talking about the letter. He's writing a letter to her about the cow ballad.
Well, the letters are real.
I mean,
my mother, when I even back then, when I said I'm going to do this thing, my mother said, "You really going to one day make a movie of this?" I said, "Yeah." And she pulled out a box and she had all the letters. She had the 85 letters. From
all the letters that he.
So everything from those letters, we took bits and pieces of the best ones. I brought that forward, and But actors, like I said, being prepared, doing as much research, rehearsing if you can. Especially for me as a writer-director, when you have that rehearsal, then when you go to the set, you don't got to worry about the actors anymore. Now it's the technical part of it. The actors know their thing, and they bring what they bring. So as much preparation as you can do as possible. And especially even going into an audition, you got competition, you have other people, be as prepared and ready as you can be. And I guarantee you're going to get called back. You may not get everything all the time, but you're going to be in the running. If you're more prepared than if there's 20 people, like I said, 17 of them are terrible to begin with. Your competition is 3 or 4 or 5 people tops.
Yeah.
You're going to be in that group if you're as prepared as you should be. And that's all you can do. After that, there's lots of variables, but if you go in the best you can be, then you have nothing to worry about. You did your job.
Nick is an Academy Award winner, and you can tell because he's an Academy Award winning human being for coming here during the week, sharing your information, constantly telling you to keep going. You showed us your humanity, you showed us your heart, you showed us your tears. You showed us who you are. We can't be luckier than meeting Mr. Nick Vallelonga!
Thank you very much. Thank you.